Welcome to the Field Experiences and Observations Overview. I'm Professor Lori Benoit, and now that we have a great foundation of the theories of learner development and how those impact the way that learners are able to learn, we're ready to start learning about the 5 critical components that make up classroom culture. So to begin with, let's go ahead and go over some of the things that I know you're wondering about. For this class, we need 10 hours by Module 12. The entire course is 15 modules, and we save those last few modules for some final exam materials and for then analyzing some of these observations. So by Module 12, and so you want to keep that in mind with your planning. Currently, all 10 of our hours come from watching curated instructional videos that are embedded within the course. Of course, we all would love to be in the field, but that is simply not possible at this time. A 30-minute or more video counts as 1 hour of observation. And the reason that it counts as an hour of observation is because for some of your hours, you're actually going to be doing a scripting and an analyzing activity. And so that sort of compensates for the time differential there. If it's less than 30 minutes, it's going to count as half an hour. So let me just give you an example. If a video is 31 minutes, it will count as an hour. If it's 46 minutes, it will count as an hour. If the video is 5 minutes, it will count as half an hour. If it is 29 minutes, it will count as half an hour. There are no quarter hour increments. You will either pick 1 hour or you will pick half an hour. So let's go over some of the timeline events and the expectations at each point of the course. All 10 hours will be logged on the field experience data form, and that's going to be Module 6 and Module 12 is when you're going to have to turn this in. So keep that in mind. That form is actually located at the very top of our Moodle site with all of our resources. It will also be entered in the field experience data collection form for initial certification, and that only has to be done one time at Module 12. Some modules will contain some videos that you must watch and log. So these are very important for highlighting how the critical component is implemented in a classroom structure. And so these are must watch. Some modules contain a set of videos. So there might be 3 or 4 that are selected for you. And it's going to allow you to select and watch a certain amount of those. Can you watch them all? Of course. Can you log them all? Absolutely. But they are simply meant to help you select so that you can get your time. The distinction between the must watch and the select watch ones will be indicated in each module. By Module 6, you should have watched and logged at least 5 hours of these instructional videos that are embedded within the modules of the course. You will have to submit proof of at least 2 observation hours logged in the field experience data form, and they will also have to be scripted and analyzed, which I'll go over in just a moment. And that's by Module 6. By Module 12, you should have watched and logged all required 10 hours in the field experience data form and in the field experience data collection form for initial certification. And both of those are at the very top of the Moodle, and then they're going to be repeated again for you in Module 12. You will have to submit proof of logging all 10, and basically what you're going to do is a screenshot. And also entering on the field experience data collection form for initial certification and entering them all. You will also need to script and analyze 3 additional observation hours. Of your 5 total observation hours that are scripted and analyzed, you will submit 2 for a major assessment. So let me just go over the basics. 10 total, 5 of them need to be scripted and analyzed. Of those 5, 2 of them are going to be submitted at Module 6, and 2 of them are going to be submitted at Module 12. So you want to keep that in mind with your planning. You want to keep that in mind with the videos that you choose to watch. So for each module requiring observation hours, I've curated videos that highlight the critical concept that we are studying in that specific module. If you look at the right, this is what it's going to actually look like within Moodle. Notice this is one that I was talking about before that you get to select. So there are 3 videos presented to you, and in this case, you would pick 2 of those 3. Notice that it would count as 1 hour of field experience. So that means that each of these videos is less than 30 minutes. So remember, it's down here right at the bottom for you. If a video is 30 minutes or longer, it will count as 1 hour to account for the time that you're going to spend on the scripting and analysis. If it's less than 30 minutes, it will count as half an hour of observation. There are no other time variations, only the 1 hour and the half hour. This field experience data form is linked at the very top of our Moodle page. You can actually type right into it, and you will have to submit this at Module 6 and at Module 12. And so you want to keep record of what you're doing, but you go ahead and you fill out this total top portion. And then you're going to go to the second page, which has this particular form. So you're going to put your course right here, the semester, and then the total duration, which by the time you get to Module 6, you will have to have at least 2 hours. By Module 12, you have to have all 10. But you simply, by Module 6, you might have as much as 3 hours. So that would change depending on how many you were able to do by that point. So where it says site or school name, you're actually going to put the title of the video. Where it says teacher, contact person, email address, and telephone number, please copy and paste the link to the video here. Duration, so remember, if it is less than 30 minutes, it's going to be half hour. If it's 30 minutes or more, it's going to be 1 hour. Get as much information as you can on the boxes to the right. I do understand that that's very difficult to do in a video, so you're simply going to be putting approximations here. You're going to be doing basically the best you can. When it comes to grade level, some of them are actually labeled. Some of them it simply may say like high school, or you could tell it's an elementary class. When it comes to the type of the class, simply do the very best that you can. When we're talking about gender here, once again, do the best you can with a count. We're not expecting perfection. We understand that it is a video. Okay, so it's very important for you to log your hours as you get them. Don't forget to take care of that. 5 hours will be, at the end of this process, 5 hours will be scripted notes from the videos you select. The other 5 hours will come from videos within the course that you must watch. You must be on the lookout for descriptions that indicate which hours count towards this. For an example, look below. Here is one from the social and emotional learning. This is a module that's we're going to get to in a couple weeks. And notice that it's indicated very clearly in Moodle. Count this as 1 hour in your field experience data form towards your observation hour requirement. And so it's telling you this is a must watch one. You only need to fill out part of page 1 and page 2 of the field experience data form. You're going to be turning that in at module 6 and at module 12. So that's why it's important to just keep up with that log as you go. So let's jump into how to take observation notes. You will be required to use what we call the scripting method. and you will be scripting what you see and what you hear in your observations. You must use timestamps to indicate every major transition. You must describe the classroom setup at the beginning. You must script. So I want you to think of it almost like it's a play, what the teacher says, what the students say and do. Of course, you may not know the students' names, so a lot of times I just like to indicate T and S. If it's something whole class or small group, we always want to indicate that. And then any other important or noteworthy things that you observe with the students, with the teacher, perhaps with a small group. I'm going to have a sample on the next slide. So this is what we're talking about. At the top, you're going to see a physical description. The teacher's desk is along the front to the left. Front board has the daily outcomes, and you don't have to put what they are, or you can if you can see it clearly enough. The front board also has a Promethean board with some instructions on it. The side boards has examples of student work and places for students to put their backpacks. On the left side of the room, there are 4 tables with chairs. There are posters on the wall that have positive sayings. See yourself as wonderful, be happy, what you believe you can become, today will be great. Next to the door, there is a list of classroom rules. So we understand that you're watching videos. Some of this may be, it's difficult. It's in some of the videos, it's going to be hard for you perhaps to see the entire room. You simply want to do the very best that you can. The reason that the physical components of the classroom are so important will be explained in future modules. Believe it or not, it actually has a huge impact on student outcomes and what we consider the classroom atmosphere. So if you look below, this is an example where it says 9:15. So this is an example of what I'm talking about with time stamping. So notice it says 9:15, and then I've already indicated teacher, in parentheses I put T, and students I put S. So the teacher says class, class, to get student attention off of their previous work. The students respond, yes, yes. One student passed out information, the Plicker cards, when teacher points to them. The teacher asked review question. Teacher, what is erosion? Student, call out several answers out loud. One student says dirt moving. Another student says water moving dirt. Notice that the way that I have presented this in my notes, it's apparent that the students were saying these almost simultaneously or one right after the other. And so this is just a small snippet of what I'm talking about when I say scripting. Let's say that, for example, at this point, after this little discussion, the teacher said, okay, turn to your shoulder partner and discuss problem 3 or illustration 3. Well, I would timestamp that. 9:18, because that's a major transition. The students were going from something that was whole class, like a whole class discussion, and then the teacher was transitioning to something that was going to be a partner activity. Let's say that once they get in that partner activity, the teacher has to perhaps remind them, okay, discuss with your partner. Okay, turn to your partner. Well, I need to be paying attention to how long does that take place. If she told them to do it at 9:18 and the students aren't really getting into their partnership discussions until, let's say, 9:20 or 9:21, that's kind of a long transition. And those are the sorts of things that you would be noticing about classroom management and classroom norms. So that's why the time stamping becomes so important. When you reflect on these observations and when you begin applying the 5 key critical components, you will be very glad that you took good notes and a good script. Essentially, this is sort of like very much what we associate like in sports with, this is our game plan. And so this is how we study and get better at our instructional practices. As we begin moving into the modules and we begin learning about the 5 critical components, you are going to start applying some of these key components. So you can add a comment for your analysis. by adding a text box next to your color coding, and you can then type your analysis in the text box. So let me explain to you what that means. I've simply taken the scripting that we were previously talking about, and then notice that I've highlighted a portion of it in blue. So you're going to understand that a little bit later. We're going to get to a critical component, eliciting student thinking, and it has a specific color code in our 5 critical components. It's going to be blue. So within my scripting, I will identify the critical component with the specified color. And then on the far right-hand side is where I'm going to be able to put my commentary. So the blue, the highlighting, helps me identify what the critical component is. But now in this comment box, this is where I'm going to analyze it. How is this a demonstration of eliciting student thinking? This is where we can talk about the effectiveness of it. Does it engage the students? Would we consider it higher order thinking? And this is where you can really begin to break down and talk about those instructional choices. This screen just shows you how you're able to do this within your document. So you can add a comment by highlighting the section that you're talking about. So you would have already changed the ink color to blue, and then you can actually highlight the section with your mouse, right click, and an option is going to appear where you can add a comment. You can then type your analysis on the side. Your analysis must be detailed, and it needs to connect the concept of the critical engagement to what is happening in the class at that moment. Remember, all of your notes must be typed in a document format that you're going to upload. You cannot have any scanned sheets of handwritten notes. Everything must be typed. So keep this in mind as you're scripting. So let's go a little bit more into what we're talking about with analysis. The easy part of your observation is actually what we consider the note-taking or the scripting portion. The hardest part is identifying an example of the critical component, and it's got to be done accurately. And most importantly, your analysis of this critical component. So what does analysis mean in this context? It is your justification of why your highlighted section is an example of the critical component that you identified it as. You must ground your response in the characteristics of these critical components in order to help you justify your reasoning. You must demonstrate that you know that the example highlighted is that critical component, how you know it's the critical component, and what specifically is happening in that example that makes it unquestionably the critical component you've identified it as. Do not merely summarize. I also recommend that once you've established this portion, extend yourself in this analysis section. Is this an effective use of the critical component in this portion of the lesson? This is where you can really begin to test out your learning and your understanding of the critical components. With Module 3, you will begin your first observations. So I recommend that you don't delay. Go ahead and start that scripting and analyzing. You'll be very glad you did, because when you get to Module 6 and it's time to turn stuff in, and then when you get to Module 12 and it's time to turn stuff in, you will have been doing the work all alone. Please let me know if you have any questions. And I thank you so much. I'm really enjoying the course with you.